Okay, so you've been doing a bunch of research on anti-aging, huh?
Yeah, a lot of really interesting stuff out there.
Yeah, looks like a whole mix of things. Article studies, even like some of your own notes. I'm ready to dive in. Seems like the overall theme is not just living longer, but living healthier.
Absolutely. I mean, that's really the key, isn't it?
Totally. And it seems like you've got some really wild stuff in here. I mean, zombie cells. That sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, that's a pretty fascinating concept.
It is. And then senolytics to fight them, and research on running and how it affects telomeres. Those protective caps on our DNA. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. We've got cellular level stuff, lifestyle hacks, cutting edge technologies.
Perfect. So let's start with the cells. What happens there as we age?
Well, think of your cells like these tiny factories working constantly to keep your body running. But as we get older, some of them start to malfunction, they stop dividing, but they don't die off. They become like zombie cells, just hanging around.
Oh, wow. So what kind of damage are they doing?
Well, they release these harmful chemicals that damage the surrounding tissues, creating inflammation and basically speeding up aging.
So it really is like a zombie apocalypse happening inside us.
In a way. Yeah.
Okay, but thankfully you've also got research on these senolytics. They're like the zombie fighters, right?
Exactly. They target and eliminate those senescent cells. And there's been some promising research. One study even showed that a combination of dasatinib and quercetin extended the lifespan of mice by 36%.
36%.
Wow.
So is this zombie cocktail ready for humans yet?
Not quite. Human trials are in progress, but it's definitely an exciting area of research.
Okay, so while we're waiting for those breakthroughs, what can we do to fight these cellular zombies on our own?
Well, exercise, specifically zone 2 cardio, can help.
So like jogging, where you can still hold a conversation.
Exactly. It's not just about physical fitness. Zone 2 cardio actually triggers something called mitochondrial biogenesis.
Wait, hold on. Mitochondrial what? Break that down for me.
Okay, so mitochondria are like the powerhouses of your cells. They produce energy. And mitochondrial biogenesis is the process of creating new mitochondria, which are more efficient at producing energy and also clearing out cellular debris, including those zombie cells.
So it's like our bodies have this built-in zombie fighting mechanism, and jogging helps boost it.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Okay. What about cold exposure? I've heard a lot about the benefits of cold showers for anti-aging.
Yeah, cold exposure is definitely having a moment. The research is really interesting. Cold showers can significantly increase your levels of norepinephrine.
Okay, so what is norepinephrine exactly, and why should I care?
It's a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in the brain. It plays a big role in focus alertness and our response to stress. And it's been linked to anti-aging benefits.
So it's like a focus and fight aging chemical.
You could say that, yeah. And cold showers can spike those levels by over 500%.
500%. Wow. Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal of those cold showers. But what about those of us who aren't ready to take the plunge? Any other anti-aging strategies we can try?
Well, you have some research on fasting. It activates something called autophagy, which is like sending in a cleaning crew to clear out all the junk in your cells.
So autophagy is like our cell's own internal recycling system.
Exactly. It promotes cellular renewal and potentially slows down aging. And interestingly, the diabetes drug metformin also triggers autophagy.
Wait, a diabetes drug has anti-aging effects.
Plus.
Now that's fascinating. But let's be real, there's so much hype out there in the anti-aging industry. How do we avoid falling for scams?
That's a great question. You have to be a skeptical consumer. And one of the big areas with misleading claims is around telomeres, those protective caps on our DNA.
Right, I see ads for supplements claiming to lengthen telomeres and reverse aging. Are those legit?
Well, the science is shaky. They often oversimplify a complex process. For instance, they rarely mention telomerase, the enzyme that actually helps maintain telomere length.
So it's not as simple as just popping a pill to lengthen your telomeres.
Nope, definitely not. And speaking of things that might not be as they seem, you also have some research on blue zones, those regions around the world where people live incredibly long lives.
Oh yeah, the blue zones. I've always been fascinated by those. What's the real story there?
While the initial research was captivating, further investigation has shown that some of the data wasn't entirely accurate. For example, some of the claims about exceptional longevity in Okinawa, Japan, were based on faulty birth records.
So maybe the blue zones aren't the fountain of youth we thought they were.
Well, there are definitely valuable lifestyle lessons to learn from those communities, but it's important to be critical. If we're looking for a more realistic model for engineered longevity, Singapore's approach is worth studying. They've implemented healthcare policies that have increased life expectancy significantly.
So it's not just about individual choices, but also the role of society and public health.
Absolutely. And speaking of things that can impact aging, you have some research on light pollution. It's something we often overlook.
right? I know nighttime exposure to artificial light can mess with our sleep, but how does that tie into aging?
It disrupts our circadian rhythms, our natural sleep-wake cycles, and that can have a cascade of negative effects, increasing the risk of sleep disorders, metabolic problems, even neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
So that late night scroll through social media might be doing more damage than just keeping me awake.
Unfortunately, yes, but there are simple steps you can take. Invest in blackout curtains, limit screen time after 10 p.m., use blue light filters.
Okay, good to know. Now let's get to the really futuristic stuff. You've got some information here on cellular reprogramming. What is that exactly?
It's like hitting the reset button on your cells. Scientists have discovered these genes called Yamanaka factors that can reprogram adult cells back to a younger state, like stem cells.
Stem cells, those are the powerful cells that can become any type of cell, right?
Exactly, and the potential is incredible. Imagine regenerating damaged tissues, reversing age-related diseases, essentially slowing down or reversing aging.
That sounds pretty wild. Is it actually possible?
Well, in animal studies, it's already happening. Scientists have reversed aging in mice eyes and muscles, restoring function and even improving vision.
Wow, that's amazing. Are human trials happening yet?
Still a few years away, but the research is moving fast. It's a really exciting time.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. Maybe we should pause here and recap what we've covered so far.
That's a good idea.
So we've gone deep into the cells, and aging is complicated, but we can do something about it.
Exactly. We've learned about those zombie cells and how they cause aging, but the research on senolytics is promising. It could be a real game changer.
Yeah, and while we wait for that, we can take action now. We talk about how jogging can actually help clear out those zombie cells. It's not just about fitness.
Right. Zone 2 cardio helps create new mitochondria, which are more efficient and can help clean up that cellular debris.
And then there's cold exposure. Those cold showers might not sound fun, but they can boost norepinephrine, our focus, and fight aging chemicals.
Yeah, and for those who aren't ready for the cold plunge, fasting can be a good option. It activates autophagy, which is like a cellular cleaning crew.
And let's not forget about telomeres. Those supplements that claim to lengthen them are often overhyped. It's important to understand telomerase, the enzyme that actually helps maintain telomere length.
Right. It's much more complicated than just taking a pill. And we talked about blue zones, too. They're not necessarily the fountain of youth we thought they were.
Yeah, the data wasn't always accurate. Singapore's approach to longevity is interesting, though. They're using healthcare policies to increase lifespan.
It shows that societal factors can play a big role. And we can't forget about light pollution either. It disrupts our sleep, and that can have all sorts of negative effects on aging.
So putting down the phone before bed is a good idea.
Definitely. Simple changes can make a big difference.
Mm.
And then there's the really futuristic stuff, like cellular reprogramming. It has the potential to reset our cells to a younger state.
It sounds like science fiction, turning back the clock on aging.
It's not science fiction anymore. Scientists have already reversed aging in mice. It's just a matter of time before we see it in humans.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful with this kind of technology. It raises some big ethical questions.
Absolutely. We need to have a conversation about the implications of manipulating aging. But there's another futuristic technology we haven't talked about yet, plasma exchange.
Oh, yeah. What's that all about?
It involves replacing old blood plasma with young blood plasma. Early research suggests it could reverse some signs of aging, but it's a very expensive and invasive procedure right now.
So it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to in the future of anti-aging. But while we wait for those cutting-edge therapies, we can still focus on the basics.
Exactly. Things like exercise, diet, stress management, and sleep are still the foundation of healthy aging.
We have more control over our aging journey than we might think. But before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question based on your research.
Okay, here's one that really made me think. If plasma exchange does become a viable anti-aging strategy in the future, could dating someone younger for their plasma become a thing?
Whoa! Now that's a question that opens up a whole can of worms. It makes you think about the societal implications and how relationships might change.
It's a bit out there, but in a world where we can manipulate aging, it's not impossible. It highlights the intersection of science, ethics, and human relationships.
It's definitely food for thought. We've covered so much today, from zombie cells to cold showers to the possibilities of the future. This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of anti-aging.
I hope our listeners feel empowered to take control of their own aging journeys, armed with knowledge and curiosity.
Absolutely. Aging might not be entirely optional, but we can definitely strive to age gracefully and healthfully, embracing the wisdom and experiences that come with each passing year. And for those who want to learn more, check out the show notes. We've got links to Andrew Huberman's research on cold exposure and zone 2 cardio,
And some info on IL-11 inhibitors.
right? Those are showing promise in preclinical studies for targeting senescent cells and reducing inflammation. Definitely something to keep an eye on.
For sure.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. The quest for eternal youth might still be a long way off, but we've learned a lot about how we can influence aging.
Absolutely. It's not about finding a magic pill. It's about making choices that support our health and longevity.
Right, whether it's exercise, cold exposure, or even just being mindful of our sleep and light exposure, we can take action.
And don't forget about mindset. Embracing aging as a natural part of life can make a big difference.
It's not about adding years to life, but adding life to years.
Exactly. And remember, aging is a journey. It's a chance to grow, learn, and connect with others.
Oh, well said. So, to all our listeners out there, keep those brains engaged, those bodies moving, and those curiosity fires burning.
Embrace the adventure of aging with knowledge, wisdom, and a sense of wonder.
And hey, maybe aging really is optional. Just maybe.
Until next time, stay curious and stay forever young at heart.